This is an excerpt from a longer video lesson about how to write the 6 main text types for IGCSE English. If you would like to watch the full video lesson, which is 1 hour and 15 minutes long, you'll find it linked below. Get the worksheet, PowerPoint, and even take a review quiz, as well as find more exclusive content to help you with your exams on my website. Whether you're a teacher or a student, you'll find something over there that can help you. Now, all of the text types are based on this story right here. I'll flash it up on the screen. If you're not familiar, feel free to pause and read, but otherwise, let's get into it. Let's take a look at magazine articles. Here is our prompt for magazine articles, and remember to think about our VARP, our voice audience register purpose and format. Imagine you are a student at a nearby school. Recent events have prompted you to write a magazine article for your school magazine about the need to improve working conditions for teachers. Write the magazine article. So what is our VARP? Beginning then with voice. We are a student. Simple enough. Okay, who is our audience? Well, it's for the school magazine, so the audience must be students as a whole and teachers too, because teachers will of course read the school magazine. The register, therefore, I think should be semi-formal. You're not going to be too informal because you're writing to some students who you might not be friends with and your teachers are going to read it. So that's going to affect the type of language that you'll use. But you can still be chatty, upbeat, humorous in terms of your tone. The purpose then, so you are going to inform. And there might also be a purpose of persuading, because you want to talk about the need to improve working conditions for teachers. So that might suggest an element of persuasion. And the F, the format, you are writing a magazine article. So that is our VARP. Beginning with magazine headlines then. So this will depend on your VARP. Magazines do tend to be more casual than newspapers. They often take on one of two different tones. So the first tone is chatty and humorous, and the second tone is emotive and dramatic. So those are the two kind of registers that most often are appropriate for a magazine article. You'll notice by contrast that newspaper articles, they are formal, unemotional, not really giving their opinion, whereas magazines, chatty, dramatic, right? So that's kind of the difference between the two. Magazine article headlines can use alliteration, they can use puns, plays and words, and they can use emotive language. It will depend on the audience who you're writing to, but often you can use collective pronouns. For this example, we can, because we are a student writing for our school magazine, so we can talk about we, us, our, because your writer attends the same place, goes to the same place as their readers. Here are the newspaper headlines we had a look at. Can you turn these into magazine headlines then? So you can use either an emotive tone or a humorous tone, your choice. Have a go. Here are the two examples. The funny ones turned out, I think, quite inappropriate given the topics, but here's some examples. So the first one was for space exploration mission reaches new frontier. So a funny, a humorous one. Zooming to the stars, the epic space odyssey that conquered the final frontier. Okay, so zooming to the stars, ha ha ha, space odyssey, ha ha ha. Not that funny, but you know. And then for emotive, humanity's bold venture into the vast unknown of space exploration. So one is like, oh, cutesy, sci-fi, how cool. And the second one is more like, we are amazing. Humanity is amazing. Look at what we're doing. The second one was climate change crisis sparks global call to action. This is one that's quite inappropriate as a funny one. So, hot mess planet. How climate change is giving the earth a major makeover. So inappropriate. But you see the kind of tone, right? A play on words, hot mess, because you can describe a person as being a hot mess. That would be me, but you can. Like if someone looks really bad, and then giving the earth a major makeover relates back to hot mess. But the makeover in this case is that we're all at risk of extinction. Moving on. The urgent global call to protect our precious planet from climate change. That one's a bit better, I think. And then the third one that you had to change was world leaders gather for historic peace summit. So a funny one would be A-listers unite. The ultimate peace party you don't want to miss. And then emotive, embracing peace. World leaders unite for a historic summit to heal our war-torn world. Hopefully you can see just by looking at these headlines the kind of tone that you're going for compared to newspapers. Here are some magazine articles for you to take a look at. I tried to get a variety. So over here we have got 17 magazine, and just take a notice of all of the puns, all of the play on words, all of the slang, and its general register, how informal it is. So first we've got cheap and chic. So we've got some alliteration, and also chic would be, is it slang? It's definitely informal. It's also quite brief if you take a look at the bullet points here. Clothes, hair, makeup, places to go, things to do. Mind games guys play. So rather than how men emotionally and psychologically manipulate you, we've got guys instead of men, and mind games, which is some slang. Sexy tops. Okay, a little bit inappropriate for a magazine aimed at teenagers, but I guess. And we'll also notice here we've got the word trashy, so again, some more slang. And then a quote from Miss Britney Spears herself. The things I did weren't very cool. Okay, sure, Britney. And another bit of slang there for us. And over here we've got Men's Fashion Magazine. So we've got Ryan Reynolds from buried to unbottled. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. A travel special, an A to Z of places to be. So we've got a little bit of rhyme there. Z, Z, depends on what your accent is, I suppose. But we've got rhyme and A to Z. Marc Jacobs, bang on. And again, some slang. Test driving the world's hottest wheels. Again, some more slang. And both of these magazines using celebrities too, suggesting a less serious subject matter. By contrast then, our last one is Time magazine, which tends to be a much more serious magazine, to give you an idea of perhaps something that might be more emotional and a little bit dramatic rather than just being humorous. So here we have got Greta Gerwig, director of Barbie movie, on the front cover. And we've got lights, camera, power. So that's a play on words, because usually it would be lights, camera, action, and here power has been swapped out to play on the words to emphasize the importance of Greta Gerwig's work. How women are redirecting Hollywood, another pun, because she's a director. She was directing the film, but here it's being played around with to show she's actually redirecting the film industry itself. So we can see a much more serious tone here, but it's still playing with language, whereas a newspaper article probably wouldn't do that. General advice for a magazine article tone. It's usually semi-formal. I say, think about how a 40-year-old maths teacher with a cheesy sense of humour would write. That's the kind of tone that you want to take on. If you've got a teacher like that, just imagine that you're him or her. And this can be a funny or witty tone depending on the topic. For example, there is a past paper for Cambridge about an oil spill where penguins die. So if you were humorous about that, it wouldn't be appropriate. But if you're going to be humorous and witty, you can use alliteration, puns, and a chatty tone. Or if you're going to be emotional because you've got a serious topic, you can be more emotive and dramatic in your language. And for those of you in the UK, for reference, it's more similar to a tabloid. So magazine is like a tabloid, newspaper is like a broadsheet. Here are some useful magazine phrases that you could use in a magazine that you write. In a surprising turn of events, with growing interest, as it turns out, as reported by, it's worth noting that the numbers speak for themselves. Taking a closer look, as the story unfolds, as we delve into the details, as many are aware, in a dramatic twist, what's fascinating is, digging deeper, upon closer examination, this raises the question, a trend that's on the rise. It's no surprise that, as history has shown, what's remarkable about this is, what's striking is, in a significant development, an essential factor to remember, as it was anticipated, what becomes evident is, in a notable departure from, as many may recall, what's becoming increasingly clear is. Now let's take a look at our magazine article exemplar and do have a think how this differs from the newspaper exemplar. So one of the big things that's changed is, whereas before we were a local journalist, now we are a student at a nearby school to Elmwood. So we've got a big shift there in terms of voice. And whereas the audience of the newspaper was just a general local audience, the audience of this magazine article is other students. So we're going to definitely expect a more semi-formal tone compared to the newspaper. Teacher's blazing exit leaves Elmwood in shock. Blazing, ha, pun, because fire, right? Pun, playing words. Look, I'm already making myself laugh. At Knightsbridge High, we are blessed with fantastic facilities, a record-breaking football team and professional teachers. But our rivals over at Elmwood High School aren't so lucky, throwing shade on their rival school. Picture this, a typical day, a regular classroom, and then chaos ensues. Spelling mistake there, let me fix that. Fixed. A fire alarm goes off, sending students scurrying outside like startled ants. The cause? Not a faulty toaster in the staff room, nor a Bunsen burner gone awry. This wasn't your average fire drill. It was a master plan by none other than their English teacher, Miss Salmon. Rumour has it that Miss Salmon was facing a classroom battleground, struggling to tame the wild spirits of her Year 11 English class. And with Miss Salmon due to be observed that very afternoon, in a desperate attempt to dodge the scrutiny, she pulled off the ultimate escape, pulling the fire alarm lever. Now, I know our Year 11s are lively, but I doubt Miss Jones would ever get the fire brigade out to avoid teaching Shakespeare. So we can see this is a student, so the student's a little bit impressed with Miss Salmon. I mean, I think you would be. It's a little bit of juicy gossip for them. And it's also clear that they are a student at a nearby school, right? So we've got their teacher as kind of like an inside joke with their audience. And we've also got references to our, right? Our rivals, because the student is writing to other students. We are blessed with fantastic facilities. So we've got already that sense of audience. Let's carry on. At Elmwood, the school was in uproar that afternoon. Fire trucks blaring, students spilling out like they were running for gold. The plot thickened as suspicion fell on innocent Mark Jang, who incidentally attended Knightsbridge when he was in Year 7. Doubtless none of you will remember him, as he could barely speak without stuttering, yet our peers over at Elmwood deemed Jang a criminal extraordinaire. Sources say Jang looked as bewildered as we did when we discovered this wild turn of events. So I added a little something in. Mark used to attend this student school before he moved over to the rival school. So yeah, I added a little something in. But again, look at this, addressing the audience, a little bit of a joke, like, oh, they thought he set the fire alarm off, but we can't even remember him speaking. How could they possibly think this innocent boy did that? And again, sources say, so similar to newspaper in that sense, you can quote what other people say. But the vocabulary and tone is definitely more emotive. The school is in uproar, the fire trucks were blaring, the students were spilling out, the plot thickened. It definitely sounds like the student writing this magazine article was quite enjoying being critical and writing about all of this gossip. Even to the fact that they called it a wild turn of events. So definitely a more semi-formal tone here. But here's where it gets interesting. Miss Salmon herself stepped up in front of the whole student body, confessing to her fiery caper and then dropping a resignation bomb. Talk about an exit strategy. Rumour has it that she handed in her resignation letter that day and hasn't been seen at Elmwood since. While Miss Salmon may have set off some alarms, literally, one thing's for sure. She just gave everyone something to talk about for weeks. From classroom antics to fiery exits, Elmwood High School has officially won the award for most unpredictable day ever. So remember, dear readers, while we're stuck in our school routines, wild tales like these are unfolding just a street away. Definitely seems some more semi-formal language now. We've even got exclamation marks too here. We've got a little bit of a joke in the brackets. Some more emotive language like her fiery exit, her resignation bomb, her fiery caper, so some more puns as well. And once more, a nod to the audience. We are stuck in our school routine, so that's definitely creating that sense of I am a student at the same school as you, we're all enjoying this gossip together. If you liked this video lesson and you want more content like this, If you want PowerPoints, worksheets, quizzes, and lots of different resources to help you with your studies, head on over to talkly.co.uk where you'll find more materials like this for teachers and students. Thank you so much for your attention today, and I'll see you there.